Today, we're pitting two very questionable celebrity kitchen choices head to head. The Paris Hilton pan with a reputation for catching on fire, and a Lindsay Lohan recipe that feels like a deeply confusing late night decision. The question is, what fails first, the pan or the recipe? We've got one of the Paris Hilton cookware pieces. This is the 4-quart high-edge cook pan, saucepan, fry pan, whatever you want to call it. It'll do a little bit of everything. It's got the beautiful gold heart handle on the glass lid and a non-stick coating that is quite sparkly inside of there. This pan comes to us from eBay, so it is lightly used. We've got some scuffs along the edges here. If you flip it around, there's some burn marks on it. Apparently, this pan can spontaneously combust on your oven. So there is a potential today that while we are cooking with this, it will catch on fire on our stove. And that's just the risks that we take here. Anyway, Paris Hilton had a little bit of a feud with her frenemy, Lindsay Lohan. So for this pot, to test it out, here is the Lindsay Lohan recipe that we are going to make in our Paris Hilton pan today. This is directly off of Lindsay Lohan's website. This is the sweet corn mac and cheese recipe. I already have a problem really with all three of these first ingredients because a can of corn could be 12 ounces, could be 16 ounces. It could be a lot of different ounces, but she does not clarify. More specifically, the bags of cheese, those definitely come in various quantities from very little to a lot. So I don't know what a bag means to her in this instance. Macaroni pasta, again, she does not tell us how much. 2 tablespoons cornstarch, mix them together. Mix what together, Lindsay? We're mixing the cornstarch and what? The water and onion powder, I have to assume, because it came right before this direction. And then add to the canned corn on the stove. Wait. Hold on. We're already into the directions. The corn was supposed to be on the stove this whole time? I didn't even know. We're not ready. Pour cheese onto cooked macaroni pasta. Pour thickened sweet corn over pasta and cheese and mix. I'm assuming thickened sweet corn means the cornstarch, onion powder, water, and corn that was on the stove. We're putting that over the pasta and then adding the bags of cheese, whatever quantity that is, as well. Take mashed breadcrumbs. Where the fuck did breadcrumbs come from? Nowhere in. We're down to the very end of the recipe, and you're just now mentioning we're supposed to have breadcrumbs for this? And then we're supposed to mash them. What's that mean? What do you mean mash the breadcrumbs? Like, do you mean crunch them? Like, breadcrumbs imply they're already crumbed. Why are we adding mashing to them? I'm so confused. Add some olive oil, again, another ingredient we didn't know we needed, and pour over macaroni pasta in baking pan or cast iron skillet, and then bake at 350 degrees for 15 minutes. So that is the mess of a recipe from Lindsay Lohan's website. And we're going to do kind of an approximation of this recipe, not because I don't want to follow it exactly. I'm going to get as exact as I can with this. But one, I'm just cooking for myself, so we don't need 2 bags of cheese inside of this. 2, I have mostly everything already on hand for this stuff, but I'll be kind of using what I got around the kitchen. I didn't want to go grocery shopping for this, okay? So I'm just going to be using what I have. Paris Hilton would never let us down. That's not true. No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure she's let a lot of people down in her lifetime. But you know, who hasn't? In her defense, who hasn't let somebody down once or twice or lots of times? Okay, I'm going to grab the ingredients we need here and we'll get going on this. Here's everything we're going to need for our Lindsay Lohan sweet corn mac and cheese recipe. To start, we have some salt and pepper. She does not call for that, but this is where my approximation comes in. I'm going to use a little bit of salt and pepper because I would prefer this to taste good when we're done with it. We've got some olive oil. We have onion powder. We have whole kernel golden sweet corn, cornstarch, and if you're anything like me, your cornstarch is probably a little expired, but I'm sure it'll be fine. We need some macaroni, and here's where else I'm going to approximate things. I I do not have macaroni noodles on hand, but what I do have is this pumpkin-shaped pasta, black and orange bronze die cut macaroni product. Okay, it's a macaroni product. I think that's close enough to macaroni. It says it on the damn bag. Anyway, a fan of the show sent this in. Thank you so much. You probably know who you are because there's like 2 of you. So looking forward to trying those out. And I'm sorry they have to be in the Lindsay Lohan recipe. And then last but not least, we need some mozzarella and cheddar. And I've got this little bag of blended pizza blend that is mozzarella and cheddar. So this is everything we're going to need for the recipe. Oh, we also need breadcrumbs. I do not have breadcrumbs, but breadcrumbs are very easy to make. You take a piece of bread, you put it in the toaster till it's extra crispy, and then you crumb it into breadcrumbs. So that's what we're going to do with that. And then we need a little bit of water. But that is everything we need for our Lindsay Lohan recipe. So to start out, she says that we need to have some cooked macaroni pasta. So we want to do everything in our Paris Hilton pan, and that's going to start with cooking some macaroni pasta. So let's get that going, which we're going to need water in there. Derp. I am going to salt my water, and you can't stop me. We need to get some boiling water going. So turn our water on high. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this pan while we are waiting for it to heat up. Like I said, I got it off of eBay. And after I bought it, I looked up some reviews on Amazon. I've been scared to turn this on high ever since I got it, so we'll see how this goes. Fingers crossed we don't burn the kitchen down. Anyway, while that is boiling, let's go ahead and set our oven for 350. The end of this recipe calls to bake the macaroni for a little bit. I am not going to put this pan in the oven, and I am sorry if you tuned into this to watch me catch my kitchen on fire. Obviously, this pan's not meant to go in the oven. The handle would absolutely melt, so we're not doing that. We will put it in an oven-safe dish when we get to that point. In the meantime, let's go ahead and make some breadcrumbs out of our bread. So we're gonna stick it in our toaster oven. Oh, I am so scared of this catching on fire, genuinely. It already smells like the base of the pan is doing, you know what? That's probably the toaster. Never mind. This is the toaster. It's the toaster. It's fine. If this does catch on fire, I have a fire extinguisher underneath my sink behind me, so we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Right? Right, guys? Let's see. How much of this do we want to cook? It says about 10 minutes to al dente. I never believe that. I always cook my pasta 1 minute less because I feel like they're liars. It's just me eating this, so let's, I don't know. Let's see how much we want to put in. So I think we'll do like that much pasta. Today's public domain film is Buster Keaton's Our Hospitality. This one's from 1923 about a couple of very rich families fighting each other. So I felt like it was a fitting one for this feud we've got going on with Lindsay Lohan and Paris Hilton. All right, this looks like it might be boiling. Yes, we are boiling. This came to a boil pretty quickly, honestly, which is excellent. Let's go ahead and pour in our pasta and set our timer. We're gonna do 1 minute under, so we're gonna do 9 minutes. So far, so good. We had it on high. It has not caught on fire. We're gonna let our little pumpkin macaronis cook for the allotted time, and we'll be back in a few. We are down to 1 more minute left on our pasta, and the pan is not caught on fire, which is great news for us. I'm so glad that I didn't have to break out the fire extinguisher. There's still plenty of time. Don't click away from the video yet. I might still catch things on fire. No, I'm really not trying to. In fact, I find it fascinating that so many people were catching their pans on fire. I truly don't understand what they were doing. I don't know if it's like they were using the pan on like gas ranges and the fire was catching the enamel paint or something. I don't know. I really don't know what the deal was with that, but so far so good for us. And I'm happy about that. All right, that's our timer on our pasta. So let's turn this off and drain it. All right. One of the things I like about this pan is that the lid has a little spot where you can drain through the pour spout so you don't have to use a colander, which is excellent. Let's go ahead and pour our cooked macaroni in there. All right. I'm going to let that cool off for a quick second, and then we're going to get started on our corn mixture. Our macaronis look pretty fun. Pumpkin macaronis. And I'm glad I pulled them at 9 minutes because a couple of them are starting to fall apart already. All right, for this sweet corn mix, I'm only going to use half of this can of corn because it's just me. We don't need the whole thing. And, you know, the instructions don't tell you to drain the canned corn. The instructions don't tell you a lot of things. So whoever wrote her recipe, if it was her, maybe, you know, think about your directions a little bit more. We're going to put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pan. Let's put this back over the heat and we will cook this on lowish. The other thing we're going to do is a little bit of salt and pepper on this. We're going to let that brown off a little bit. So while this corn's cooking, let me tell you a little bit about this pan so far. I've actually used it a couple of times since we ordered it, and I have some things I really like about it, actually. It's very lightweight, again, which I appreciate. I love my little Dutch oven that I use all the time, but it's kind of heavy. As far as like holding heat, it really doesn't. It doesn't hold heat very well, but what it does do is it seems to sort of immediately direct heat between the heat source and the food. Like, it takes this pan 0 time to heat up, takes it 0 time to cool back down. So, you know, when you're talking about heat and what kind of pans you like for that, personally, I like my Dutch oven because, again, it holds heat really well. It's very steady once it gets going. But this is great too for when you're just in a hurry. The other thing I like about it is the non-stick surface is very non-stick, but I do not believe that it's Teflon. I think it's supposed to be, you know, chemical-free non-stick, which was what I was really after when I originally bought this. I wasn't even trying to buy something for a video. I was just trying to buy a better non-stick pan because every now and again you do need that non-stick. So that was how I found that. Really, so far, I've liked this pan quite a bit. I like that it comes with the lid. I like that you can pour out of the lid. I like that it has the high sides, so you can kind of do a little bit of everything inside of it in terms of boiling pasta, cooking corn, whatever. I'm not mad at this pan. Now, would I go out of my way and buy the whole kitchen set from Paris Hilton? Probably not. I'm personally a fan of having multiple types of cookware because there are multiple types of needs of cookware. So I've got some stainless steel pans. I've got, you know, obviously some cheaper non-stick pans. I've got Dutch ovens. I've got cast iron. I've got a little bit of everything. And a lot of it I pieced together from buying things off of eBay, which is a great way to go about it if you're like, I need some new kitchen stuff, but I don't want to spend a ton of money. That said, if you do want to spend a ton of money, and this honestly for a cook set is not expensive. I think on Amazon it was maybe $90 last time I looked for the whole set. I'll have a link in the description if you want to go check it out yourself if you want to own Paris Hilton's cookware. Otherwise, go to eBay. You can find some good deals on eBay for sure. All right, so that's smelling pretty good, pretty brown. Let's go ahead and make our little cornstarch slurry that she has us make. And she wants us to do 2 tablespoons of cornstarch mixed with the water and the onion powder. Since I'm kind of cutting everything in half, I'm just going to do 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. 1-ish, there you go. And with that, we will do 1 tablespoon of cold water. Ish. There you go. And then you want to mix that vigorously with a fork and a little bit of onion powder in there. So there's our cornstarch slurry. Normally you put this in some liquid to kind of thicken the liquid up. So I am going to use the rest of the water with the corn here. You can do a little bit of a deglaze essentially. There we go. And then we will put in our little slurry here. And that like instantly thickened. We'll turn off the heat. In fact, we'll just take that off of the heat. And let's put a little bit more water in it. She's not very specific with, you know, how much water you're supposed to use. So, you know, how are you supposed to know? I guess you just do your best and hope for the best, question mark. There we go. So there is our sweet corn slurry mix. Now, it kind of says to pour everything along with the cheese and mix it. So let's go ahead and do that. Now this smells very oniony. Onion powder can be so strong, you know? So there's our corn, and then let's add some of this cheese. I don't know that I'll do the whole bag. Let's see where this takes me. I'd say that's pretty well mixed. We'll do a little extra cheese on top for good measure. And then last but not least, we need our breadcrumbs. So let me go grab those. You've probably seen me make breadcrumbs before. If you don't have breadcrumbs, just find some bread, whatever you got. This is a hamburger bun. Put it in the toaster, get it nice and toasty, and then process it. All right. There you go, fresh breadcrumbs. It's just that easy. Now it says to add a little bit of olive oil to this. I'm also going to put a little salt and pepper in it because Lindsay Lohan can't tell me what to do. Mix that all together, and then we will top our pasta. That goes in the oven for 15 minutes at 350 degrees. Wish it luck. While we're waiting on this to finish up, let me tell you what I would have done differently with this Lindsay Lohan recipe, because I do not consider myself a chef. I just screw around in the kitchen sometimes. But I can tell you right now, this is a terrible recipe, and not because the concept is bad. Corn mac and cheese, I think as a concept is a good idea. However, her instructions and lack of some fundamentals here make this, I don't know, I'm skeptical that it's going to come out of the oven and be any good, frankly. For instance, why did we not make a cheese roux? It's not that hard. With a little bit of butter, flour, milk, and cheese, you can make a really good cheese roux on your own. It's like making gravy. It's really not hard to do. The cornstarch, I'm not even really sure what the thought was. Cornstarch is usually used to thicken things, so it feels like in her mind she had some sort of sauce she was trying to create, but she never tells you to put the cheese in with the cornstarch. She doesn't tell you how much water to add. So this one's is a tough one. And then pouring the cheese onto the pasta, pour thick and sweet corn over pasta and cheese mix, and take the mashed breadcrumbs, add olive oil, or over macaroni, pasta in baking pan or cast iron skillet. I don't know, the lack of actual amounts, and I'm definitely a person who cooks and doesn't always cook with exact amounts. You could still put some estimations here, especially when you're talking about like the water in this. Is that meant to be a sauce, or are you just using it for the cornstarch slurry? I have no idea. I don't know what you were trying to do here, Lindsay. Right now, in the Paris Hilton versus Lindsay Lohan cook-off, the Paris Hilton pan is definitely winning so far. Well, that is our macaroni. There we go. Our Lindsay Lohan sweet corn mac and cheese. It's not pretty, but part of why it's not pretty is because I used black and orange noodles, so that's not the fault of the recipe, honestly. I know it does not look like much right now, and it might not look like much after we dish some out either, but, it is what it is. It certainly is cheesy. There we go. Let's get a big portion of it, because I'm just so excited to eat this, let me tell you. There it is out of the pan, and we can see, this is a very simple recipe. You can see the corn, you can see the pumpkin macaronis, the cheese, the breadcrumbs, and that's basically it. There's not really anything else in there. So the end of her recipe said to top with sriracha. I don't have sriracha, I've got Cholula, but I love Cholula, and I'm a big fan of hot sauce and macaroni and cheese. So I will put a little bit of that on there, but before I do, let's take a bite of it without. Let's give it a shot by itself, and we'll get a little bit of everything here. That's a pretty good sample of everything inside the dish. So let's take a bite. Okay. Initial impressions. It's not bad. It could be better. It's not saucy enough for me. Like I would expect like a real cheese sauce in here. I get the cheese, but the cheese isn't really a sauce. Overall, it's fairly bland. I taste the onion powder, and I taste the salt and pepper, and the salt and pepper wasn't even part of the original recipe. So were the salt and pepper not in there, it would literally just taste like onion powder and not much else, I'm afraid. Put the hot sauce on there and give it another shot, though. This might be what it needs to really kick it up into the next year. And I'm a big hot sauce fan, so. All right, let's take another bite now that we've got this appropriately drenched in Cholula. Fresh bite. Let me take another bite before I give my full opinion on this. Okay, my final take on this. The Cholula helps, definitely, but now it just tastes like Cholula, and I don't taste anything else anymore. I don't really taste corn or cheese or salt or pepper. It just tastes like Cholula. I guess a little bit. I still taste the onion. I think this honestly would have been better. Instead of with onion powder, I think they should have done garlic powder. This is edible. I'll eat it. It's not absolutely disgusting like I was kind of afraid it would be. Weirdly enough, I think the best part of this is those pumpkin macaronis. The noodles are really good. The noodles are flavorful. They have a good bite to them. They're my favorite part of this recipe, honestly. So that's, unfortunate for Lindsay Lohan's recipe. But that wraps up this versus event. So who won? In my opinion, which means nothing, I vote for Paris Hilton pan. If I had to choose in a locked room, nothing else, you can either have the Lindsay Lohan recipe or you can have the Paris Hilton pan. I would take the Paris Hilton pan. I will continue to use the Paris Hilton pan. I genuinely liked using it. I will not ever make the Lindsay Lohan recipe ever again. So that's my take on that. If you've ever tried either, if you've tried any of Lindsay Lohan's bizarre recipes on her website, if you've cooked with any of the Paris Hilton stuff, the knife set, the Dutch oven, any of the other cookware stuff, let me know your thoughts. Do you like the Paris Hilton cookware stuff? Do you like Lindsay Lohan's recipe? Let me know down in the comments. I'm always curious to hear about it. Bye-bye, babies.